What's that story you've never been able to tell? When I was 17, I worked with a guy named Brian. He was in his mid-20s, a bit chubby, and seemed pretty normal. One day he told me about his crazy neighbors who would scream and pound on the walls, even when he wasn't making noise. He said even sneezing would set them off. Honestly, I didn't care much when Brian told me about his neighbors. I just wanted to go home. A few days later, I noticed Brian stopped showing up. A month or two passed, and he finally came back. I asked where he'd been, and he said he was fired because he had been in the hospital. I didn't think that was a valid reason to fire someone, but what do I know? I didn't comment on that. I asked him why he was in the hospital, and he told me it was for personal reasons. I told him it was good having him back, and carried on with my day. Fast forward a couple of days to me talking to another coworker who was good friends with Brian. He says, "Did you hear what happened to Brian?" "Yeah, he was in the hospital and was fired or something." "Do you know why though?" "No, he said it was personal. A couple of months before Brian disappeared, he was home alone when his neighbors started yelling at him through the walls, accusing him of being too loud. Brian, telling himself, 'I've had enough,' decides to call the police and have them deal with it. The police arrived and spoke with the neighbors for hours. Frustrated, Brian called the police again to ask why it was taking so long. The police respond with, we left like an hour and a half ago." Turns out the neighbors were never yelling at him. In fact, they were never there. Brian was schizophrenic and was hearing voices in his head. He had to go to a mental hospital for a month.